Basically, what I'm trying to tell you about is decoding heritage through semiotics. We always speak that students are only studying surface level of knowledge these days, and they are not digging deeper, and they are not deconstructing concepts enough to get to a better conclusion or to revisit the already concluded symbolism that we have. So here I would like to present a model which would let the students have a framework and follow that framework to decode the symbols effectively. Please next slide. So what I'm trying to follow here is the Persis triadic model. It talks about the firstness, secondness, and thirdness of symbols and signs. So basically what I feel is a huge confusion over here that we don't usually find out any difference between symbol and a sign. So to form that differentiation between a symbol and a sign, we should study the iconicity, the indexicality, and the symbolism separately so that we can understand where to place what. Understanding the hidden meanings, semiotics provide an effective framework for that, and then developing heritage literacy. When we speak about literacy, it is not only the surface knowledge that creates literacy. It is the deconstruction of concepts and then unlearning the learned concepts and relearning the new concepts, which promotes literacy. Move forward, please. So the Lotus, why I picked Lotus because it is a repetitive symbol that we observe in Gandhara, and then we can see evolution within the symbol, and then we can connect the ancient wisdom to the modern practices because it is a prevalent symbol. We still see the symbol, so it's not like it is something from the past and we don't see it anymore. Can you move forward, please? Next. So we'll discuss the lotus as an icon. When we speak about icons, it is about the similarity to the physical appearance of any object. When we speak about the lotus, in these narrative panels, the lotus is seen as a lotus and not as a symbolic representation of the lotus. It is as a representational sign. Now here I would like to differentiate between a sign and a symbol. When we speak about a sign, it is representational, it is a direct indication to something that we speak of. And when we talk about a symbol, it is open to interpretation. So a symbol can be a sign at different instances, but a sign cannot be a symbol. A visual representation of ideas, the lotus iconically represent purity, rebirth, spiritual awakening, manifesting all these concepts visually in Gandhara art. In Buddha, Mahaparinirvan and the Vindhara Jataka and the Maya's dream, the lotus signifies transcendence and it highlights its iconic status in religious context. Next. Here is another example, and this is very interesting to me because when we see the lotus represented in the heaven scenes, we usually see a very elaborate lotus, and we can compare that if we, for that matter, want to dig deeper and we want to look at the metaphysical importance of the lotus, and we study the chakras and we connect the chakras to the physical appearance of the lotus over here, we find out that the Sahasra chakra, which is the supreme form of enlightenment in Buddhism, is synonymous to the representation of the lotus in the heaven scenes. Forward. So, and then we talk about the indexicality, association with the ritual action found in relic caskets. It is index. What is an index? It is more of a context to something that we study or we look at. It is looking at the broader perspective where the sign is placed in positions where it is not usually seen. So seeing the lotus on the relic casket is a different sort of a representation than it is its iconicity, as in its physical form of representation. So the lotus acts as an index linked to the diverse ritual actions, relics, and the specific architectural context. As Dr. Ghani Rahman mentioned, that the lotus is also associated with Mount Meru. It is also associated with practices over there, and it is believed that formed out of a lotus. And then the chandras that he mentioned, they have the lotus in different depictions on the interior of the chandra, on the lower part. So, as in mentioning the level of spirituality that we can achieve through the number of the petals in the lotus, and it is also synonymous to the chakras as in the metaphysical significance of the lotus. Moving forward. Yeah, so here are a few examples where we can see the lotus as an icon but as an index because it is part of a ritual. And then we can see it on a relic casket, and as well as we can see it on the top of the dome where it again symbolizes enlightenment and spirituality. What are the slides with the headings on them? Double click them, okay? So then we speak of the lotus as a symbol. So up to this point, what we discussed is that instances where the symbol was a sign. Now we have, over here we study it as a symbol where it provides us with abstracted concepts. So here again we would construct or base our discussion on the signifier and signified concept of Sashur. So it is the abstracted lotus as a signifier is a symbol. It represents spiritual concepts like cosmology within the art and beliefs. Then the symbolism in halos and friezes. It is very commonly observed in the Gandhara art that it is. As relief, it can be seen on the halo and the frieze, and then we have very good elaborate examples from Bhutkaraji, documented by Dr. Rahim. Rahim sir. Yeah.
Imported from.
Yeah. So those were very nice pictures that I observed about the lotus. Then, as a symbol, the lotus transcends with the visual, contextual relics signifying profound spiritual ideas of universal. I cannot see it from here, but it's the transcendent beliefs. Yeah, forward. So here are a few more examples from there, and it is not only symbolic in a sense that it can be seen in the entire architecture, but it can also be seen on objects related to Bodhisattva Maitreya, as in on his water flask. Forward. Yeah, little more. So here we speak about the evolution of the lotus. It is as an icon, the lotus icon functions as a representation of a sign based on resemblance, as I spoke earlier. Then, as an index, it is used in architectural context. It is used on the reliquaries, and it is an index of the sacred presence or a ritualized place or something that is revered in religion. Then, as a symbol or as an abstract concept, it can be a symbol of enlightenment, transcendence, continuity, and there is more to this as well. But that, when we dig deeper and then we study it as a quali sign, sin sign, and a leti sign, we further have a clarification of the concept of the lotus. Double click. So here we speak about the contemporary concept, enhancing inclusive interpretations. Since we don't have accurate models for symbolism or the interpretation of symbolism, this framework provides an interpretive inclusive model for what we can study in heritage design, and then enhancing heritage storytelling. Given the literacy model, the more we are clear about, and the more we are literate about a concept, the more better we can get at storytelling, because this is a huge gap right now in our country. You all must have experienced or watched Shark Tank. The Shark Tank people, they are someone who come up with their entrepreneurial ideas and present them in the Shark Tank, but They are trained to tell their own story, which is, a point to ponder for all of us, because we are not clear or we are not literate about our own stories. What can we speak about the ancient practices? Then it's a shared resource for ecological ethics, which is reflected within the model. Next. So I won't go in a lot of detail because I can see the session chair is looking at me.
It's very interesting. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So promoting symbolic literacy in heritage spaces can create a more nuanced, enriching encounter with the cultural heritage. It is all about attracting tourism and giving people stories that they could go back with and want to come back to. The literacy model is basically something to train our people or our heritage practitioners, our archaeologists, to tell their stories in a way to make people want to come back and revisit the site. And then we have sustainable symbolic literacy trails, allows trails to be developed for further sustainability and rooted in symbolic literacy, which develops visitor connections to the local culture. And another very important point that I would like to discuss here is decolonizing the concept and then going back to the indigenous concept, which is very important for us because we have seen a shift in UNESCO as well. They want to shift towards more of the indigenous concepts rather than colonizing the entire heritage. We need to do that within our practices and within our studies to be able to create models for students to follow, to create our indigenous interpretation for the different symbols that we see on our land. Yeah, this is something I spoke about already. So again, we talk about ethical tourism, we talk about inclusive interpretations, and then we talk about understanding symbolic literacy. So ethical tourism, what is ethical tourism? Ethical tourism is basically creating importance in our own indigenous knowledge and importance owned by our land, owned by our own visual culture, and the people should respect that. We only can create that if we have a literacy of what we have as a treasure on our land. I think that is enough for today. I would like to have any questions. I would urge